So welcome. Before we jump into our session, I'd just like to go through the housekeeping that's in front of you on the screen. If you are not teaching health and physical education to grades 1 through 7, then you probably don't want to be here. We do not have a session that's set up for ESY or for credit recovery. This is specifically for grades 1 through 7. Please make sure that this is where you should be. You'll notice on the bottom of the screen, it talks to you a bit about how you're going to need to complete a sign-in sheet at the close of the session, as well as the compensation sheet at the close. I will provide those links to you so you have those available. We have 1 hour to spend together where we can talk a little bit about summer health and PE. So we might as well get started. Let me just bring in a couple of folks that are still coming in. For those folks just joining us, I'm going to restate. If you are in physical education or teaching physical education for ESY or for credit recovery or high school, this is not your session. There are no sessions specifically for ESY, credit recovery, or high school. Okay, so we're going to get started. A couple of things we're going to go over. All right, it's a 1 hour program, so it's going to be pretty speedy, hopefully. We're going to look a little bit about getting to know each other, first of all, for just our group today. We're going to take a little bit of a look at what we will be teaching or what we should be teaching to our students during the summer school programming. Talk about equipment that you're going to have access to, which is very exciting for several of you because not all of you are going to be at your home school. So it's good to know what you're going to be working with so that you can plan thoughtfully and creatively with those things. Talk a little bit about team building because, again, most of the students you're going to be working with, most of you, are going to be students that you don't have any relationships with. Some of you are coming from high schools and teaching little people. Some of you are teaching summer school in neighborhoods that you're not familiar with. So team building is going to be really essential. We'll share some ideas and also some resources that are available for you. First thing we're going to do is we're going to play a game called Toss a Name. Some people may know this game as Warp Speed, if you're more of a Outward Bound or Project Adventure kind of person. And typically this is something that's played in person, but for the fun of it, I thought, hey, you know what? Let's give it a little chance here. Let's give them a chance to actually play online and see how it goes. What's going to happen is when I show you the next screen, I'm going to give you access through the chat to this particular document. You're going to go into the screen. I'll come back to it. I'll come back to this. You're going to come into the screen. You're going to click onto one of the horizontal boxes and just print your name in there. Doesn't matter where, just try not to print on top of someone else. Lots of people who are still coming in. So again, let me just give you access to this slideshow through the chat. I may have to give you another access. But
hey, Nancy, while you're doing
yes.
that,
Yes.
this is not meant for ESY, but am I okay to stay for?
You're okay to stay. I can't guarantee whether or not you're going to get paid for it.
Huh.
And I'm not saying that to discourage you. I just don't know. So, I mean, you're more than welcome to join us.
I don't like any of you guys. Why would I? Never mind.
And that's fair. I can live with that. I can live with that.
Okay, I'll stay.
Okay.
It's fine.
All righty. So, folks, are you able to access? Yep, it looks like we are. Fantastic. Everybody can just find a person to put their name in next to. Once we get there, we can move on to the different steps that we would use. Also, folks, as an aside, hopefully you are signed in on your school district email. This is how they keep records for your payment. It's really important to make sure that you're not on your personal accounts. All right, so far we have myself, we have Nate, we have Cindy. That's really tiny. I'm blinded, but okay. Can you make that a little bigger?
I don't know. I keep trying, but technology is not my friend.
Okay, no worries. I got you. I think I got you. We'll see. There we go. All right.
Forgot to highlight. Okay.
It's okay. We have a few other people still waiting. There are only a few of us. Come on, come on, come play. Come and play with us. Come on, Richard. Come on, Sean. Stacy, are you able to join us through your phone?
I don't think it's allowing me. That's what I was just about to type in the chat.
Ah.
Because I'm on my phone. Maybe that's why. I'm gonna keep trying though.
Okay.
I'm not sure what to do.
So is that Richard? So what you're going to want to do is you're going to move your cursor over one of the blocks and double click on it.
It's not doing anything.
Okay, I'll add you in. How's that?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm not sure how you're going to play, but that's all right. We're going to try anyhow.
I'll just pay attention.
Okay, that works. That works for me. Make it a little bit bigger. Anybody else? You ready? All right, let me go backwards one slide. We're going to take a look at this. So you pick your place around the slide, around the circle. You write your name in it. If you were in person, the kids would just be standing shoulder to shoulder in a circle. If this was in person, you would have the kids go around the circle and just say their names. One time, just one. And have the kids who are standing in the circle just focus on listening as names go through. What happens at this point is one person will take an object. All right, let's say it's me. I have the beach ball. And in order for me to get rid of the beach ball, I have to pass it to somebody else. But I can't pass it without calling someone's name. Somebody whose name hasn't been called before. We have the fortunate privilege, since we're working online and we can see this, I can say, Cindy, and I make sure Cindy's looking at me in my circle before I pass the ball, because a good toss is as important as a good catch. And I pass the ball to Cindy. Now, uh-oh, the ball didn't want to come to Cindy. The ball's behind Cindy. Okay. We're going to just move on without the ball, since the ball doesn't want to play with us. That's okay. And what would happen is Cindy would select another person who has not been called on yet. And if she doesn't know their name, she can make eye contact with them and ask them, hey, what's your name? Once she knows their name, she repeats it, passes the ball to them. And you create a pattern until everybody has been touched with the equipment, with whatever you're passing around. Sometimes I use Beanie Babies, something that's not going to be too challenging to catch, too heavy, too dangerous. And we create this pattern. So we go through it one time. Then I say, all right, look, you think you really know this pattern? Is it going from here to here to here to here to here? Is everybody getting to touch the ball? Once they have the pattern, you can do challenges in a couple different ways. You can say, all right, well, let's time it. Let's see how quickly you can get pass it from one person to the next person. Thus the warp speed name. Okay. If you can set different parameters for the game. You can say, all right, if the object drops to the ground, you have to start all over again. You can say, all right, you can pass somebody, but you can't pass a person on either side of you. You can do a lot of different things with it, but it's a way to start getting to know kids' names. It's a way to start getting them to be a little bit silly. You might even say, all right, we've created this pattern. Let's go with the pattern. And what we're going to do is we're going to start, and then as soon as I pass the ball to Cindy and she's passed it off, I'm going to pass a second ball. And we just keep adding more and more equipment, making it more challenging, making the kids have to really think about it, making them have to pay attention. And they're also working on some motor skills while they're at it. They're working on tossing in different ways, in different planes and different angles. They're working on catching. They're working on making eye contact, all those fun things that we teach them that they don't have to really think about when we're having them play. They're just playing and still doing what we want them to do, right? Does this sound familiar, this kind of game? Does this sound familiar to anybody, everybody? Somebody? All right, I got some thumbs, I got some head
Yeah, it
shakes, I
does.
appreciate that. You guys know the struggle of being on Zoom. I would much prefer, as much as you would, I'm sure, to be in person. It would be a lot more fun and engaging. However, so that's just one example of a game you could play. I do have a blank screen of this with the bodies and the boxes at the end of this particular slide deck, so you can use that if you want to for any kind of games or demonstrations that you might want to use sometimes in front of the kids. What are you going to be doing and who are you going to be doing it with? You have the rising first through seventh graders. Okay, they just finished up kindergarten or kindergarten to sixth grade. A lot of them are still suffering from learning loss. And that extends beyond just the classroom information that we're so familiar with ELA, science, math, social studies. A lot of them have not had a lot of experience or a lot of practice moving. And this is an opportunity to really help to engage them and help them to not only have fun, but to learn while they're doing it. So what I would challenge you about is that for the first through fifth grade students, to really do a heavy push, a heavy emphasis on the motor skills learning. This is the age group where we really want to teach them how to move, how to jump, how to hop, how to skip, how to gallop, all those things that, oftentimes, especially at the higher grades, we forget that we had to teach these things at one point in time. We have to teach kids how to throw and the different progressions through throwing, from the underhand, to the overhand and stepping with the opposing leg and all that fun stuff. So if you're working with grades first through fifth, you want to really try to focus on motor skills, but having fun in doing it, right? Sixth and seventh grades, you want to start to really introduce those small-sided games where those motor skills, have already hopefully been established. They're not so much emerging as established. And you can start to play different games and help students understand that they can use strategies in playing the games. Does that make sense to folks? You got a yes, a no, sort of. Okay, I got a couple head nods. The way we're going to do that is through using what materials are available to us. Now, some of you are going to see that when you get into the school, if you're not familiar with it, some of the schools are going to be different than the schools you've been working in. We wanted to make sure that everyone has not necessarily a level playing field, because we can't change what the structures are of some of the gyms, but the schools that have been selected for a summer school have been selected intentionally by OAS, our Office of Academic Supports, for trying to make the students as comfortable as possible and trying to make the teachers as comfortable as possible. While books are being delivered for some of the different subjects, we need stuff too. So you're going to have at your disposal and at your use the items that are listed here. Are you able to read these or see these at this point in terms of, okay. There are a host of things that we can do with this stuff. I mean, if you look at this list, for some of you, this might be more than what you have at your own home school, quite honestly. These orders, if they haven't been delivered already, will be on their way, and they should be in place before you get started. There is a double-sided cart that if you want to put it together, you can. You don't have to, because the reality is that this equipment remains at the summer school site. That's one of the benefits of and one of the perks of the school being a site. But we look to try to have a pretty good variety of items for you to use. Anywhere from the juggling scarves, it's a great way to teach kids how to juggle, through to the cush balls in terms of just having different tactile experiences and different ways to grip things. And I don't want to preach to the choir, because you understand what these things are, and how you can use them in different ways. But what I would say is for our high school folks and our middle school folks, just have to remember, and I see your question, Cindy, I'll be right with you. You just have to remember that we're just sort of saying, all right, let's make sure we take care of our foundational stuff. You know, we're not going to be rolling out basketballs for the kids to play with just basketballs. We're going to be actively teaching, and that's a really key thing. Cindy, in terms of are the gym slates air conditioned? I know that the schools have been selected because they have air conditioning. I cannot speak specifically to the gymnasiums. I'm hopeful that they are, because that would make it a much more comfortable and conducive learning environment for you as a teacher and for the students. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the equipment that's going to be available to you? Okay, I'll take that as a.
Do we, like, if we wanted to have soccer balls, like foam soccer balls that are great for kicking skills, do I just have to bring them from my school then?
I would, if you want to, you can do that, but I would ask for permission, or yeah, I would ask for permission from your principal, because I would hate for them to think that, you know, the equipment was exiting for a bad reason. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I had to pick different things. I'm like, okay, well, what can I get us? What can we use that's sort of got a wide variety of uses. So yeah, there are a few things that aren't represented on the list, and that's fair. Our first focus is going to really be on team building. For those of you who, at the beginning of the school year, attended, gentleman, our colleague Nick, he did a PD, and he used a lot of material and information from a website called playmeo.com. Playmeo is, they do offer some free access to some things, but you can also get more access if you become a member to it. I am a member, of course. But let me just share with you a couple of different things that you might want to look at doing with your kids, just as icebreakers, team builders. And the first thing that I wanted to share with you is this thing that's called the mute lineup. This pops up for us, fantastic. And just so you can also get a look at what Playmeo sites look like. So this is the Playmeo site. It gives you an opportunity to use a filter to identify the size of your group, the time that you have available, and what your overall, overarching goal is. So you can see that no props, communication skills. Some students are going to be coming from outside their catchment areas to attend summer school. So don't assume that all the kids are going to definitely know each other. They may, but they may not. But for this particular game, I wanted to share with you this video tutorial, and I'm hopeful that you're going to be able to hear it. You have to let me know if you can't. Are you able to hear this?
So right now, think of your middle name, and I'd like you to think of the first letter, the initial of your middle name, without talking, with any form of verbal communication, which includes writing in the air, pointing at a letter, or any of that type of stuff. It's completely non-verbal. Form one straight line according to the sequence of your middle names. As I said, if you don't have a middle name, think of it as any name and line up according to that. Nothing. That would be considered nothing. That wouldn't be considered verbal. So that's okay. But talking, air mouthing, pointing to that, all that's considered verbal. So no talking from now on. Game has started. Go. One straight line according to the alphabetical sequence. A to Z, A to Z. No talking, no talking. Of your middle names. Often one of the hardest things we ask our adults to do is to not talk. am going to continue the exercise with this one question. If you believe everyone, that is all 9 of you, are in the correct sequence according to the alphabetical order of your middle names, please raise a hand. Okay, not all hands are up, so that's okay. Put your hands down. The game continues. Do whatever you need to do now as a group so that the next time I ask that question, you feel confident to put your hand in the air. Go. Still no talking, nothing verbal. If you believe everyone is in the correct alphabetical order according to their middle names, please raise a hand. Fantastic. Excellent. All right. First of all, you've all got your voices back. Can you all point now to the A end of the line? It's a good start. There's none of this going on, so that's good. If you feel comfortable, to give us your name, your middle name, and we'll just work down the line, see how our sequence runs. Right. Oh, that was a J? Right. I'm thinking T. Oh, I got a J. Sorry, I was too busy talking. Could you say it again? Take one. Guan. Right. Fantastic. Excellent. All right, you got it. Fantastic. Clearly, and this is an exercise that's been around as old as the hills, brilliant for highlighting communication, particularly when you are restricted to the types of communication methods that you can use. I won't go into this, but there's clearly lots of different ways you can invite people to line up. For those who are familiar with the exercise, what are some examples of different ways you can do that? Numbers, birth dates, yeah. Siblings, number of siblings in a family, you mean? Oh, I like that, good. Shoe size is what I've done. Month. I've done the last 2 digits of your mobile or your home number, 0 to 99, for example, and so on. And the street number, all that sort of stuff.
I'm going to pause that there. Can you think of any other ways that we can get students to line up? Aside from the standard boys lines, girls lines, or, traditional things. You can just take yourself off mute and
We play this game in school when we start Project Adventure. So the first time we do it, you just have them line up in size order. And then the second time we do it, we have them do it in birthday order by month and year and date.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else willing to share a thought? Why is this so good for communication? Something like this. Guys, I got all day. It's all good.
I think it challenges people to find new ways to communicate. Most people want to hear themselves talk sometimes, and they you got different kind of personalities. People who like to talk a lot, people who don't like to talk at all, and so I think it's a blend of a way to communicate.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts about that?
It allows the kids to think outside the box, be creative.
Okay.
Think of there's more than one way to get from point A to point B.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share a thought?
I think it allows students to be leaders, like your natural leaders come out. And sometimes it's good when they allow someone to take over and assist in the plan rather than, it teaches them very quickly how all the fighting and bickering and I'm in charge is not productive.
Okay, thank you. One of the things that I really like about the team building types of activities is that the focus is not on winning. The focus is on being and doing. And I think that oftentimes in our field, we get caught up with, I apologize, I was responding to a message. Oftentimes we get caught up in allowing the students to say, hey, but we want to play this or we want to play that. And for whatever reason, we become complicit in allowing them to control what the activities are going to be. And then it sort of sabotages what our goals are. When we do team building activities, it's really important to not only set them up and give the students the guidelines and the parameters for what they can do to play and participate. But it's important too that we process it with them at the end. We let them understand how the skills we're teaching them are transferable to other environments and other situations. I know that when I was at Colombo, quite frequently, we would do these types of activities, and then although they were high school and there was a different way of transferring the information, it just, I mean, there's more value to it than just seeing who can win in the game. Let me bring us back a bit. To this next activity, which is called Funny Walk. And by the way, all of these activities you'll be able to access by clicking onto the links that are part of this slideshow. This again is one of the Plamio activities. And I'm just selecting the video tutorial because it's a little easier, it's a little more entertaining than me sitting here and trying to talk you through anything.
Here's your objective, is that as an individual, I'm going to ask you in a moment to move from this side of the room to the middle side of the room, okay? And to get there, you're just going to simply walk. However, the kicker to this exercise is that you can't walk as you normally would. You need, in fact, I encourage you to consider the most zaniest, craziest, out of this world, never been seen before walk to get from here to there. Now, you do it on your own, and you may all do it all at the same time. It doesn't matter, but it's just for yourself. And it can be nothing you've ever walked before to get from here to there. For example, in case you're going, what are you talking about? Here's an example. I've got to think of something, so I've done this way too often. Okay, that I've never done before. Of course, you're never going to know, but it's my challenge, so I'm going to think of something. Okay. Okay, so I'm pretty sure, not even in the Kangaroo Valley do they walk like this. All right. And of course, I asked you to commit all of the way. So once you start, you're getting from there to here. Now, of course, you can't do that because it's now been seen. So you need to do something completely unique, creative, zany, out of this world, never been seen before, to get from here to here. Go.
Now, before we watch some of their choices and their decisions, what can you see as a value of this activity?
I mean, well, the kids get a chance to express themselves in different ways as opposed to just seeing who can go from one end to the other the fastest, or saving folks from elbowing each other. So they're focusing more on creativity as opposed to competition.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else?
In summer school, the kids are a little tentative because they're all new to each other. And if this makes them all be goofy together, now they're together.
Yeah, I think, some hilarity can ensue from this, no doubt about it.
Especially after we do it too. We have to be part of it.
Precisely. It definitely levels the playing ground. So we have to be willing to have some fun too. We're setting the example for just how engaged our kids are going to be, right? If we're reticent to do something, they're definitely going to be. So let's just take a moment and see what they come up with.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. I just moved this chair. Oh, lovely work there. Graham, nice. You've all got from there now. It's a bit the case of, the grass is always greener on the other side. It's not true. It's actually just as green as where you come from. So I'm going to invite you to go back. But this time, you need to join physically, have some physical contact with a partner to get from here back to the other side. And again, everything we've just done can't be repeated. And between the two of you, you'll now identify a new, completely never been seen before technique to walk from here to the other side. Whichever group you're just a part of now forms with another group. Again, some form of physical contact between you and the rest of the group. And again, something completely never been seen before, crazy, out of this world to get from here back to there. That's right. The whole team, whatever that number is, 18, 19, 20 people, somehow will be physically connected to each other and find a way that all of you can be involved and connected. So perhaps just jump together, find out a way that you're all going to be able to be familiar with, understand, and then when you're ready, move your way across to the other side. Final time. Come on, join up, let's go.
Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, a lot of really interesting outcomes could be resulting from this particular activity. As I said, you'll have access to this information and these items when you go back through the slideshow. So I would encourage you to hold on to the link for the overall slideshow. We do have a limitation on time, so I'm going to just move forward. I did enjoy, however, the paper holding and the TP shuffle on a rope. I think they're kind of fun. So if you have the opportunity to take a look, I think that'll be beneficial and well worth your time. The thing that I really enjoy about the Plamio type of activities that are available to you is that they talk to you about your setup. So if you're not really comfortable or as experienced with setting up the narrative for the activity, or even just how you follow it up, it's a really good resource. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. We are going to spend a little bit of time in a few minutes coming up with some of our own ideas that we can share. The template that I set here that you can see in front of you, it's not etched in stone. It simply sets out some of the information that's important for us to look at as we're putting together our lessons. Many and most of the folks that are here have a number of years of experience teaching. However, sometimes we forget what the key elements are of a lesson, right? I mean, we want to make sure that we know what the focus is of the lesson or the episodes that are involved in the lesson. We want to know what standards we're teaching to. What are the key things that we need to make sure we address? If we're teaching throwing, overhand throwing, are we just going to give each kid a ball and say, have at it? Or we're going to say, all right, these are the critical elements that are involved in throwing, and just take kids through and explain what we really want them to focus on. Are we going to say to a first grader, all right, this is what you're going to do to throw. You're going to have the ball in your throwing hand. You're going to step out with your opposing foot. You're going to have the hip motion and you're going to bring it. No, that's too much, right? We know this already. Again, it's all about progressions. So we want to make sure that we identify what the key teaching points are for that grade level and for that content that we're presenting. We want to look at what the learning outcomes are. What are our expectations for a student? Again, if we're going to use throwing as an example, do we want them to be able to throw, a certain distance? Do we want to have a target on the wall that they can come in contact with out of so many times, starting from a huge target and moving down to a smaller target? Whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish, we want to have our objectives. How are we going to assess it? It may be something as simple as just the visual assessment. We do this every single day. This is part of just how we run our classes, right? How are we going to differentiate it? That's a key thing right now that we have to look at for students who are struggling. And, we talk about differentiation often when we talk about our students who are pushed in or are part of what, the inclusion model of physical education. But we differentiate, again, every day for all of our students, right? But we have to take a look at, all right, what are some of the problems or challenges our students might encounter, and how can we be prepared to counterbalance those things? If we're teaching catching, are we going to make sure that every student has a ball that's this size? I don't know if you can see that. Or we're going to make sure that we also have some that are this size, and a variety of things to make sure that all of our students can experience success and practice the skills we're trying to teach them, right? Are there any special safety considerations, things we need to watch out for? Because we can, of course, when we're thinking about the lessons we're teaching, going to anticipate some issues. We're going to come back to this lesson plan template in just a few minutes, but I want to share a couple of other resources with you. Again, you can see for the top section where it says grades 1 to 7, those are the different Plamio resources. And the way they're broken down is there's actually a document. It's a Google document. Please, if you're going to use these things, make a copy of what you're getting, because otherwise it really makes people sad. Okay. How do you make circles? It talks about the narrative, how you set it up. Talks about variations for making different shapes and sizes and circles. Clumps. I don't need to really read to you too much. And again, you'll be able to access all of these things. They're all different kinds of activities that are icebreakers and team building things. There are, I think, like, let me look down here, 56 pages worth. Okay, so you can have at it and be happy with it. And if you're actually in the document right now, you can take a moment or two to just sort of scroll through if you're interested. See if there's anything that catches your eye. You may notice that there's Australian spelling because Mark Collard, who is the creator of Flameo, is Australian. Is anything standing out for anybody? Does anybody see anything they think they might be interested in, or just the structure of how this, you know, some of the lessons are done? Oh, you guys are intense. I love this. Makes me happy. I'll tell you what, just for the sake of anybody who has to watch this, they couldn't make it today. I'm gonna stop us at this point of reviewing some of these things. And I promise you again that I will share the link for the slide deck again, so you'll have access to this information and the materials. Okay. But this is one set of materials that's available for you. Of course, you're not locked into these things. I encourage you to use your own creativity and your own resources that you've accumulated through time. I'm going to close out of this activities page. I also identified on here some of the different resources that come from Open. Open Phys Ed is online physical education network. It's a free resource that was put together by US Games, but all of the lessons that are created by volunteers and teachers in the field. So as we go through these pages, you'll see we look through K-2, some of the different motor skills, right? Then as we scroll down to the next page, we're looking at 3 to 5. Again, some more things that you can use and the equipment that you have available, except for the soccer balls, but you can kick a lot of different things, right? Brings us to 6 to 8. Okay. In a moment, again, I'll have you have an opportunity to go through that. But what I want to do is I want to bring us back to the lesson plans for a moment. And let me pull up the link for this, because I want to put that in the chat for you, because I'd like for us to brainstorm a little bit, come up with some ideas about what are, you know, some things are that we can use as we start with our kids. Just wanted to make sure that I had it as editable. And I'm going to make a couple more of these. So people can jump in and, hold on. I think I'm in the right place. There we go. What I'd like to do is, since we don't have too big of a group, I'd like to kind of buddy people up a little bit. And what we can do is, do you have access? You see the access to this, folks? You see this on your page? You see the multiple lesson plan formats, fantastic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually have you break up into some groups, and I'm going to challenge you to spend a few minutes just creating a couple of different activities. Once you get into your breakup groups, select one of these different things and pick a block and you can get started on it, okay? We're only going to have 3 groups because we don't have too many people. Think about some things that you could do during the first couple of days of your classes, okay? Any questions about that? Frank, we could talk about the pickleball thing in a little bit, all right? Cool. All right, so I'm opening up the rooms. Hi, Dr. Williams. Can you hear me?
I can. Hello.
Hi. Just, you know, we are still recording, but we have some folks that are in breakout groups right now. They're creating some lessons that they can use during the first couple of days.
Awesome.
Okay.
Going good though?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, as I said, so I don't know if this is going to record our conversation. So I just, yeah, we've had some very positive conversation.
Very good. Checking it out. How many people do you have in your session?
We have 9, but a
Okay.
couple of them are from ESY, even though, I mean, they do know that they may not receive compensation because they
Okay.
aren't part of the assigned group.
Okay.
And I'm just going to sort of jump around into some of the different rooms.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm just popping in.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You as well. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Is being recorded.
Nance, you're on mute, I think. Unless she's talking to someone else.
No. You're good, Frank. I apologize that we had limited time to actually put together some of the ideas for the lessons. Would anyone be willing to share some thoughts of discussions that took place in your breakout rooms for how you want to start out and how you want to frame your first couple of days?
Well, I don't know who else here has experience in summer school last year, but I did in the summer program. And I have a projector, so I did yoga with the littler ones. Some of it was goofy yoga. K to 3. I did some kickboxing because then they didn't have to move around a lot because they were getting to know each other in their classrooms anyway. And it worked out well. It seemed to create a cohesive environment. The older ones, I just let them start having a catch with things, a couple frisbees, a couple of wiffle balls, just go catch with someone. And I circulated around the room. Hey, what school you come from? Hey, what school you come? Because they love to share.
All right, so some getting to know you kinds of things, giving an opportunity, creating an environment where students can interact with you and with each other. Any other ideas?
I'll go. I said, we could start out with like tagging and dodging games. I like play Red Rover, everybody's it tag. Maybe like go to a dollar store, get some pool noodles, do noodle tag. But this way it gets everybody up and moving while you're still learning the kids.
Thank you. Anyone else willing to share some ideas? An idea?
We're thinking about some basic motor skills to start out. So, we do them in fun ways, like just randomly through the room. Let's do some skipping. Let's do some hopping. Let's add a little bit of equipment. Let's use the hula hoops and let the kids. I also like to put out random equipment and have the kids create a game. Like find something, and we've got a new game from every class. We look, I'm like, that's a great game, and they make it up on their own.
Anyone else care to share? I understand it's been a very long day, and I appreciate your level of engagement. So thank you very much for that. What I'll do then is I'm going to tie this up. I'm going to share with you in the chat again the link for the slide deck. Please, if you choose to use it, make a copy of it. You'll be able to open everything up from that site. That'll be helpful. I also am going to next add in the link for the Google attendance form. And I'm going to give you a few minutes to make sure that you have a chance to actually put in your attendance.
Nancy, can I just ask you a logistics question? Because I've never been in the building where I'm going. So, and I don't even know if I can arrive early, and everything starts on the very first day. So we just go in, sign in on some sheet they spoke about, and then go to your gym and begin?
That's a really good question, Cindy. And I'm not saying that to be facetious. I am buying myself some time though, as I think of the answer there.
If it's similar to last year, there was a reorganization day because the teachers need to set up their rooms.
Right. So what I will do is I'm going to make a note of the question though as well. Organizational time, yeah. And then what I can do is once I get the response, I can share that information with you. Okay. I would love. Part of me is like, oh yes, let me just make something up, but that won't really benefit you.
Well, people need to know schedules. They need to know what's going on. You can't just fly by the seat of your, well.
Well, that's what they said in the meeting on Tuesday, that you're not getting any prep time, no anything, just go.
No, 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 not prep time.
No, 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 I mean like prep to set up for camp, like, I mean, for summer school, like to come in and see your gym and do whatever you need to do.
Oh.
Nothing. Walk in the same day, same time as the kids.
Great.
I'm gonna just, again, I'm gonna tell you that I will look into that to make sure that we have the information that we need as best as I can get that information for you, okay?
One more super quick question on that form. Your name is not listed as the facilitator. There's the Sabas team, Latanya Miller and Jen Diana.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So let's put it, well, that's so interesting. Maybe facilitators on that. Let's go with Latanya Miller. Latanya's going to be like, Nancy, what did you do? That was rather arbitrary, I know, but I know Latanya. She lives down the hallway from me, so I'll be like, yeah, I don't know. Nate, was that your question as well?
Yeah, that was my question.
Okay. I saw.
Yeah,
the
that
chat.
was my question too.
Okay.
I have a
got it.
quick question. I know last year we did PDs on Mondays and we got out at 2:30. Are they going to do that this year, or we're just going to leave at 1:30 every day?
I hope they would have mentioned that yesterday.
I will check into that one too.
And also, Nancy, you said there were two forms. We had to do two forms the other day. There's only the
Yes.
one, OCI.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure everybody got the first one.
Oh, okay, cool.
No worries. So the next one is for your attendance. One, all I know is that one was for attendance and one is for
Mhm.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming to the PD. I hope that there was some useful information that I shared. Again, if you access the slide deck, you can identify, you can reach all those different sites that I showed you, whether it was the Plamio, whether it was Open Phys Ed, or whether it was the activity sheets that I have listed there in a Google form. I'm here as a 12-month employee. I will be here through the summer unless I'm taking vacation, but I don't think it's going to happen while you guys are out. So please feel free to reach out to me. Let me just, again, put my email address in here. And also my office number. And that's how you can get in touch with me. Does anybody have any questions? I'm actually going to stop recording now. Just a moment.